Hello everybody and welcome back to RimWorld Raider Empire. So in the last episode we got ourselves 1 million silver. We are finally there. It has taken us a while. Holy crap, I just realized that the number here is actually overflowing over the normal thing. Either way, yeah, 1 million silver. It's taken us a very long time, but yeah, that's fantastic. Today, oh boy, we got a lot of planning to do. We are going to be planning out the entirety of the vault as much as we possibly can, and it's gonna be a long one, so be sure to grab yourself a drink and a snack and whatever, and probably more than just one, because I'm thinking we're gonna be here for a couple hours maybe. It's a lot of work. So we are not going to be running the game at all today because it is just planning. If you don't care about the planning, we are going to be explaining, what everything is, where everything's going as we go. I don't really have a plan. There's probably going to be a lot of undoing and redoing and, all that as we, as I remember what we do need and all that stuff. So this is an episode that you can skip without technically missing anything. But if you want to know what's going on with the vault, then it's probably going to be one of those that you just turn on the background and keep an eye on. Either way, oh boy. So this is going to be difficult. We did get a new mod. It is called More Planning. If you do want it, what it does is basically the vanilla planning tools are trash because you only get one color, and that doesn't really work too well for, a complicated system. So More Planning does allow us to have all of these options, plus some copy paste. If you want to get the mod yourself, it's in the Steam collection, which is down in the video description below. Okay, so to start, there's a few things that we got to keep in mind. One, we don't know what's in the mountain, so we're going to have to hope that there's nothing that's going to cause any problems. We won't know till we start digging, but I think anything that comes up, like giant open areas, we should be able to work with to a degree. So, it'll be one of those, don't worry about it until it happens, if it happens. And the rules that we're going to be following is, basically it's one rule. And that is, we gotta try to make it so it is not obvious from the outside world, other than through ships and orbital traders and all that. But, we can't make it so we're completely invisible. But we don't want it so it's obvious on the outside what we got going on the inside. So we're not going to be like doing walls of turrets all along anything. We're not going to be building bunkers or anything. Everything's going to be within the mountain. So we are going to be starting right here, and this is going to be the only evidence that we exist, is just one wall with some doors. And then from there, everything else is within it. And this is going to be difficult because this front piece is going to probably get abused pretty hard. We are going to have an opening for a ship. I'm thinking in here is probably the best spot for the ship since it's our largest opening. And by opening, I mean opening like the mountain. So we're going to need to blow out a chunk of mountain roof. That way we can have our spaceship able to leave if we ever decide we want to leave. And along with that, it would also be nice having a landing zone for our ships. So if we do need reinforcements, we don't have to land them outside. We have somewhere inside that we can do that. It's going to be a little bit tricky because obviously we are going to need a shield over it. The shields don't really work well with the ships. There is ways around it. I got it all figured out, so we don't need to worry about that. But it's going to be a little tricky. We are also going to want to have this ridiculously overly defended because we got to make sure we can prepare against anything. We are also going to be able to shoot anti-grain warheads from inside the mountain to outside. So what the biggest important part is, if we have raiders at our door, our front entrance has to be able to withstand at least 2 anti-grain warhead hits. So we're going to need a few layers of our front wall. So we are also going to make sure we color code things as much as possible. So dugout areas we're going to have as white, and then we could do like black for the, how's the black look? It's a little bit hard to see. I guess black for walls should be fine. So, and then we'll need one for embrasures as well, because if everything's color coded, it'll make life a lot easier. So we could say black for walls. We can have this go right up to the front here. So we're going to want a double layer. That's actually a little bit hard to see. Maybe we do this blue as walls. And I can highlight over that with shift. Yeah, we'll do blue as walls just for visibility. Actually, you know what? I can turn that to more visible. Oh, that makes life so much easier. We'll do black. Oh god, I'm already making everything difficult. So we are going to have a front. This is going to dig a little bit more in, and we're going to want a little bit more that way. We are going to need doors, so we could say doors can be orange, and we'll reasonably, I guess it doesn't really matter what center is. So we're going to have doors here, doors here. We can grab black for a bit of a hallway. So if we get hit by, or if we hit an anti-grain warhead over here, it'll blow out the first layer of walls. If we have to do another one, it'll blow the second layer of walls. Now that's obviously not going to be enough on its own. So we can have another double door with a single gap right here for no particular reason, just kind of designed, because we also want this to look reasonably good. We can also remove that. Oh, I have to shift that too as well. That's not a problem. And then from here, we're going to want to be able to get in here to repair this if we need to. So we can definitely make it so we have access point hallways from within, further within. Oh man, there's going to be so much planning. The problem is I have to try to think of every possible situation because this is our vault. It's very important. Nothing horrible happens. So the wall, we can assume it's going to go a bit further. Obviously we don't know that for sure, but we can just work with that for now. We're going to want a one wide hallway, so we can have that extend further. Oh, I really wish shift and moving arrows, or the WSD wasn't making it super quick. So then from here, we are going to want a main corridor, and the corridor is going to be lined with turrets. We're going to have, basically shredders are going to be our friends because they're shorter range and great for damage output at the short range. But we're going to definitely want to get snipers in the back. That way, obviously anything that's coming down the hallway is going to have constant sniper fire, plus all of the shredders blowing apart. And then after that, that's where we're going to have our hallways to branch off of. And then from there, that can wrap back around so we can get up into here. That should be reasonably good for our entrance, I hope. Yeah, I guess we'll see. So how wide? Now, these turrets, it would be nice to use shields with them as well. That way they can take some extra firepower, but that might be tricky. So the biggest issue with trying to use shields is they have these little nubs. It's not just a flat front, so any nub that sticks out, we don't want it going into the hallway because then we're going to be shooting our own shields a lot more frequently. And it does, as we've seen over here, it gives them a spot to stand where they're actually protected from all of our turrets. So we definitely don't want that sticking out if we can avoid it. If we end up losing some of our embrasures, then, you know, it's kind of a whatever situation. There's not much you can do about that. Something that's been suggested in the past, especially for like out here, is if I do sandbags across the front, then it stops raiders from being able to stand on them. So we could still technically have the nub sticking out and have sandbags, and that should help quite a bit with that situation. But not quite sure. We'll see as the design goes through. So we are going to need a bit of width here. We can have our hallway. And that's, well, we can do this for now, and then we'll see how we want to do embrasures. So if we did something like 6 off of there, and 6 off of here, and that wasn't really supposed to be like that, then that would give us a 12 internal, which obviously we got to keep that in mind for any collapses and stuff like that, because we don't want our roof collapsing. So that would be fine. But it would be nice to have one less tile. That way, if for some reason we lose a whole lot of our embrasures, we have a little bit more structural support. So we could say a 10 internal should be probably okay. So then that's going to be like that. And then from there, it would probably benefit us to have them come in a little bit. Not really, because once they get that past this door, if they get past this door, then they'll basically have nowhere to stop and no corners to hide behind, so they're going to just have to run in, and I don't know what they'd do from there because the AI could do whatever. So then we can assume that that should be fine. So then that's going to be an embrasure. So embrasures we can have as this, yellow is for doors. We could have purple for embrasures. So then that's going to be Embrasures all the way down. And then what is the range on the sniper turrets? Because that's going to be where our back plate is going to be, basically at maximum range. So we could go security and sniper turret. So then this is going to be going out to here. Now that's kind of, actually I could just place that down. That wouldn't be a problem. Because then we could use that as our foundation. So that's our back wall. And that whole corridor is going to be lined with just death. Oh man, that's fine. So then we'll have these embrasures run all the way across. And then I guess just in front of the turrets, that's where we'll have hallways that branch out. Because we're not going to want to take up room for the sniper turrets as a door to get past them. So we can have it so it's there and there. And then behind that, we can have like a wraparound type of thing and then work off of it. Something like that. We'll see. We'll see. So then this is going to be coming all the way down here as well. And for now, we'll line them up and work with it after. We are going to need solid walls blocking explosions. Now, do we only want a single turret? We are going no expenses, no limit on what we are spending resource-wise on building this. Obviously, it's going to depend on if we actually have enough. So we probably won't be able to get all of our turrets as plasteel. I'm thinking this all as plasteel would definitely be the #1 importance. But for other defenses throughout, I think steel turrets should probably be fine. Just because I don't think we're going to have anywhere near enough plasteel for everything. So we'll have to work with that. But do we want to double stack turrets, or should we be fine with one? Because we are doing an entire hallway here. So I'm thinking a single one should be fine. Just because double, obviously I just double the resource cost. And again, I don't think we're having enough plasteel. And if we're doing only a single turret, then we should be fine with a single wall as a divider. Whereas if we did a double, we'd want to make it so if this exploded, we didn't have, you know, one explode, blow out a wall, and then the other explode, blowing out the next set of turrets. So this should be fine with a single wall all the way across. And what I'm going to do is copy that. Oh, that was cut. That way I can just kind of do a whole bunch at once without having to click every damn tile. And then we'll clean up the debris of this after, because there is going to be a bit of excess. So this is going to just run all the way across here. And then we can use red as our turret indicator. So that. Oh, I should have done this as a copy paste as well. So we can copy that. And that's just going to run its way down. And again, I'll tidy that up once we get down this way. So then all these are going to be turrets. And then from there, we can remove that whole section. And if that's there, okay, so then our dugout areas, what color do we want for dugout? I guess we don't really need to color it, since it'd be pretty obvious what's what. Yeah, we won't color what's dugout. We'll just have the assumption, oh, I guess we're going to need it. Yeah, we're going to need some indicator. So we could do this color, a cyan, light bluish. So that's all going to get dug. And that's going to be dug out. That's going to be dug out. Obviously, it's not... there's no mounting here, but you know what I mean. So then from there, we need a back wall. And we also want to consider the shields. So... these snipers over here would be our best indicators. I guess not. Do we have any spots that? No. Yeah, okay. Actually, right here is what I was looking for. So if this was a... What's your radius? That's a 3. And that sticks out 1. So if we do our sandbags across, then that should stop raiders from stopping on them. So then that's able to stick out 1 with, hopefully without being a problem. If we wanted to, we can't go less than that. So whatever we do is kind of permanent. Although if we really have to, we could just not have shields. We could change that out later. That is going to be a lot of shields, but what can you do? So if that's the case, then we're going to want... Oh boy, that's going to be a bit complicated. how often are we going to want this shield? See, I really wish that showed the same outline. So if that was here, then we're going to want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, every 6th tile. Well, I guess every 7th tile we'd want a shield. And then that would get all of our embrasures covered. That's 1, 2, 3 from there. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Then there in center. Wait. 1, 2, 3. So then we'd want 1, 2, 3, and that would be there. So that kind of screws up because we'd want that one over. Or else that's going to be blocking off the turret. And we know that we can't have it block off the turret because you can't walk on these. So if we block off the turret, then we won't be able to repair. So what we could do is have it so it's one back like what we got here. Obviously, that would be a little bit large because we'd want that more so like that. And then that way, we'd be able to do like a wall here and then have door dividers between the turrets as well. So if they breach one, they won't be able to just walk through and just obliterate everything. They'll still have to fight through each layer. So that should be all right then. So then that would be, yeah, because that then lets us do whatever. So then that's 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles off center. So then that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So then we'd want one right here. Can I have a wall, please? So then that's going to be a 8 tiles in between. So then that still ends up being every other one is going to be on a wall. Every other one is going to be in here. That should be all right. So basically it's the same situation, but we're able to put it back a little bit so they're less so in the way. But even then, that's a double layer. So we could even go one more in. So it's a 4 radius. And if we did that, then it's going to be 2 off center just like that, but it's further back. Which then would be, we'd want that to be 3 on that tile. That way the fronts meet up together here. Right? Then that'd be right there. So it's still, no matter how we do it, it's going to be every other one's going to be on a wall. We could make it so it's a gap. So I guess there would be one embrasure that's not covered. And that actually would be fine because the embrasure that's not covered would be always a wall behind it. And that could work. Yes. So in that case, it would be 2, 3, and then a space, then a 1, 2, 3. And that would be right there, which would be a 7 tile gap between them. Okay. And then we can grab planning. So shields we can have as green. So then that's going to be a walkway right across here. And our shield would be up in here, and then there would be a wall behind that. So then if that's here, let's say that's there, then that's going to be going 1, 2, 3 out. Let's just make sure that would work. Be 1, 2, 3 out. So then the 3rd tile would be our embrasure, which is what we want. And then from center, it'd be 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't want that. That'd be 1, 2, 3. So then we're going to want the green planning be there instead. That way we have coverage right to this wall because there's a turret there. So then it would be every 7th tile. And then we can grab ourselves a wall because we're going to have this separated. That could actually just be an indent there because we could do like a wall like that. Let's get that coming all the way down. And then that gives us the ability to put a door here in any of the spots. We're probably not going to do a door between each one. That's a little bit excessive. So then that would be every 7th tile. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7. And that one would be there. I gotta remember, shift to recolor. That'd be 1, 2, 3. Oh, put my finger on the screen. And then from here, that'd be 1, 2, 3. So yes, then that leaves just the 1. Okay, so we want 5, 7. Oh yeah, that does end up measuring out as 7. I just miscounted the first time. Okay, so then that's good. What we can then do is copy that. That way I don't have to measure it out again. And we can say that goes there, that goes there. So then all of the green bits are our shield. And then we should probably measure this out. So then this blue, we're gonna want, so that's a wall there. We can have it so this will wrap. You're not gonna need to shoot that way. And that's a wall there. That's a wall there. And then we're gonna wanna double layer that if we can fit it. If not, then we'll push this back one. And then we're gonna have a hallway that runs across here. Now, these turrets don't need to technically reach as right to the very end. Oh god, I gotta answer that. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. It was a call I was expecting later in the day. Is just an automated delivery message letting me know tomorrow I got some stupid shit coming. Either way, so, yeah, so then this is going to be our main hallway going off this way. So then, yeah, we'll push this back one. So then we want an embrasure running across the front. And then we'll get rid of this turret. That way they don't end up trying to build it. We can also cancel that little bit of mountain they're digging out because we're not quite there yet. And then from here, so if that's going to be an embrasure up to there, we're going to want our walls. And that's going to be a wall hallway. And obviously for over here, we don't need it double thick, depending on where I guess the hallways go. Because if there's a hallway over here, then we are going to want a double thick. But if not, if we have like a hallway here, then we don't need to do any more than just the one wall. Technically, we don't have to do the wall at all, but I'm not smoothing anything because I don't really care for that. And we'll just dig it out, replace it with granite wall. That way we have a nice consistent look throughout the whole base. So and that's going to be there. And then we'll have this for now. We are going to need an access into here, of course. And we are going to... Do we want to divide them? Because what's the chance of these exploding? Because what we can do is put them all just side by side and double stack them. And then if, you know, one explodes, they're all going to explode. But it does give us significantly more firepower that way. What we could do is make them like triple thick and have the divider. That way we have the explosion resistance, but lots of firepower. Maybe we do the triple long. Now that is going to have line of sight issues, but I don't think, like, not line of sight, but angle issues. Because the ones back here will basically only have a straight line shot. But I don't think that's a big deal. But then, if we had just a big block of turrets, they would all be able to shoot any angle within this hallway. Which would be probably not a bad idea either. That's a tough decision. It really depends on how risky we want to be. Obviously, less risk would be nice. But more firepower is also nice. So, and you know what? That wouldn't end up giving us a nice even number anyways. So let's have a block. And maybe we split the block down the middle. How, that's an even number. We could do a double wide safety margin. Then that would be like that and that. So then we could have like a block that's 4x3 of sniper turrets right here. And another one right there. And that way they get most of the angles. And if shit hits the fan, then we only lose one at a time instead of both. Now, with that said, depends on how they explode. If we get like one explode, which then chain reactions slowly instead of one giant explosion, then it'll eat through that wall and make it through. But I think the double wall right there is probably not a bad idea. So let's go with that. So then that's going to be block of turrets. Block of turrets. And then we're going to have a line of open spot in the back. That way we can walk. So we can have walking. We're going to want walking along here. Walking along here, we can replace that because, well, we got to change that to doors. So we can have a double door. Okay, and then we can paste. That's going to be a walkway there, and then our first shield goes right there. Oh yeah, we can also do a shield down here. Ryan, that would be helpful. Although it's still the same overall situation. So, and that's all good right there. And then, yeah, I guess the shield can go right to the edge there. That shouldn't be an issue. That way we can make sure that bit there is covered. Okay, and then we are going to want a double door right here as well. Okay, and then where do we want a shield in here? So we could do a big shield. We'll definitely want a divider wall between it. So we could say that's going to be a wall here. And then we'll have a big shield. Now the big shield is going to stick out a little bit. That's not really a problem if it overflows a touch. Because basically if raiders get down here and they're within that spot, then we got bigger problems anyways. Oh boy, we're coming to the end here. Which is fine. We're basically done with our main hallway. So it's not like we need a whole lot more room back here. But the big shield is going to be... grab green. We can do that right there. And we'll have a wall around that there. And we can have a double door. Ooh, right color, Ryan. We have a double door right there. This will be open. So then the shield should be reasonably protected. It might still be worth going back one more. Just so we have that little bit more buffer in case we do get explosions. So let's do that. So then that will be black there. And then we could even just have the doors here and the shield right there. That actually wouldn't hurt anything. So that should be fine. And then we can have a hallway back here that we're going to be using for our own access. And that is going to have access... the best way to go about this. So we do need to get all the way up to here. So what we can do is have... that's already a double thick. We got to make sure we can repair any walls. We don't want to get ourselves in a situation where walls get damaged but not able to get repaired. If we get, some breaches or whatever. We just got to make sure that walls are fixable from some angle at some point. So this, we won't be able to double thicken. But that shouldn't be a problem. So then we can grab our walkway. And for this, this will just be a single walkway access. We don't need a double hallway. Because double hallways are for, normal traffic. And then this is just an access point, so it's a whatever. It's just for repairs. So then that's going to be a single wall for now. And we'll work with that. And then that needs to be another layer of wall first. Right across here. That's going to be a wall right there. And then it's blue across there. And of course, that's going to have doors on it. And then we'll look at how many doors we'd like as dividers, just, for safety after. I'm not too worried about making sure that that's fine for now. So then from here, we can have it so this wraps around the back, and then we have a main hallway basically at the back side of the mountain, and then from there, everything branches off. And then obviously that hallway itself is going to have some twists and turns with turrets. That way, if anyone's going through, we have, turrets along the way. But theoretically, nothing should be able to make it past this, but it's still one of those. You never know. Better be safe than sorry. So then we're going to want a walkway. So we could say from this point, that'll be a wall there. That'll be a wall there. We can have it so this will go this way. Meet up with that hallway. And we'll have the same thing over here. So that's off of this door. Coming in that way. We have wall, 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 wall. And then obviously this would be a wall here. And we're going to have to breach into that as well. That's not a big deal. That needs to get changed out for a wall. We're going to want a door right here. Lots of doors. Okay. And then We could also add in a bit of defenses right in here. We got some space. We can worry about that later. And think about that if it needs to be done. And same with all the doors within here. That's something we could consider later. I'm looking at the main defensive section. So that should be reasonably all right. I think. I don't see any major problems with it. If we have the doors all along here, then if we get breached here, that will still have its coverage. Because they'll see this as the easier, technically the easier option, because there'll be less doors. So then, from here, we're going to want a hallway that goes further in. Now, if we want this going basically straight across, from now that should be fine. So we'll leave a bit of a buffer. And then this is going to be, let's say, a walkway. I'd like some sort of symmetry, but I doubt it's going to be doable. So we could have 40 there, and I'm just going to make sure that that's measured from. That's measured from there. So then this can be 40 off of here. A little bit further. Oh, I hate holding shit. So that's going to be going to here. And then obviously we'll want walls around that. Okay. And then we could do some turrets along right here too. Again, that's something that we could consider later. I'd like to get the main structure of this figured out first. Okay, and then that goes down there. So then there's our wall. We can get door there, door there, there, door there. Lots and lots. We could do doors there, doors there. Okay. So then from there, we can... Probably the ship area we should figure out first. Because all over here, I definitely don't want it to be like all of this side set up for our storage. Storage is not something that we have to really plan what goes in what room. It's going to be, we're just going to make a bunch of rooms and then we'll fill them with whatever we want depending on what we have and all that. But we definitely are going to make a lot of different rooms. That way, if something happens, it's all contained. So let's get the ship part. So this is going to be the biggest opening and we are going to clear the mountain roof. Now, how big is the ship is a good question. And we also actually have to consider the shield situation as well. We're going to need to use these. So that has a pretty good maximum range. So, we can, it's going to be open, so we don't have to worry about any roof collapses or anything. And we can go the radius on that. So that's a 12. That's 12 from... Oh god, I forgot that these don't have a center. Now that's a bit of a problem if these don't center. Because that means the shield that's here is going to be off-centered because it works off of the bottom left corner, if I remember correctly. Although I think if I... Oh god, security. If I have this, I can't even rotate it. Yeah, these don't rotate. Guess that's something we'll figure out when we get it placed. But we are going to want to use the big shield for the coverage, which makes things a bit more difficult. We could use a handful of smaller shields, because all we have to do is make sure... what's your maximum range on that? That's not going to be enough. That's a 10 tile off center, so that would be... we'd want these within a wall. So that would give us... 1, 2... That's only Tenda there. So we probably won't want to use these. We're going to have to use the big ones. Which I guess we'll have to find a way to make it. That really screws me up. I kind of wish these were 3x3 instead of 2x2. That way there is a proper center. I technically could go and change that. Maybe I'll go and do that. Make them a 3x3, that way there's a proper center, because all the ones that we currently have, it wouldn't hurt to have them 3x3, although I don't know what the game would do. We'd probably have to uninstall them, then make the change. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Either way, we can just have a rough plan for a big area and then leave space around it, so if we need to expand it, we can. So then we're going to want a big clearing, and then we also want to make some landing spots for our ships. That way, if we need reinforcements, we have that. So we can assume, definitely we don't, if we get sapped, I don't want to get sapped through this. So we can assume this wall isn't going to continue, but we could use that kind of as a foundation. So we'll throw this in just so we have a visual representation that, you know, it goes across here. And then right about here would be the smartest spot. That way we're as far away from any openings as possible that we could get sapped in through. Not that that should be a problem, because we're going to be dropping in warheads everywhere anyways, but still. So we can say that can still be a wall there. How big do we need this ship area? Because we could design the ship to be whatever. I'm just thinking it'd be nice to have a lot, maybe even two ships, two smaller ships instead of one big one. So maybe we go like a 60 by, I guess that doesn't work. What's the max? The max is a 51? Really? That's weird that it's 51 instead of 50. But we could do a 50 by 30. But then the shield situation. Okay, let's throw that in for a sec. And the worst part is, because of the map fog, security. Because of the map fog, I can't see how well that would cover. But if that's here, and one here, and then obviously we can have them like here, here, and here if we need to for the sake of overlap, that should be all right. Because there will be more than enough overlap there. But we do have to consider where the overflow is on these though. Although if we need to, we can have our ship landing area over here for our stuff. That way it's far enough away from the shields where we don't have to worry about it. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then lengthwise, I think we should be okay with 4 shields, like here, 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 and here. And that should cover it completely, so drop-in raids won't be an issue. Okay, so let's go with that as our landing pad. We have some room to expand it if we need to. And even this way we can go. So we'll leave a lot of around this open. But we do have to also use some sort of opening, probably over here now. That way we can get our mortars. We're going to want our heating system and our cooling systems to be venting into the opening as well. We got to keep that in mind. Okay, so then we'll have, obviously this is also going to be covered in turrets. So what we'll do is copy, make sure I use copy and not cut. We got to incorporate, do we really need turrets around the ship? Because the only time that we would need that is if the shields go down or if we get breached. Yeah, we'll do turrets. We'll have turrets. Just, you know, plan for any possible situation. Because what I was thinking, if we lose a shield, it's probably because of solar flare or something. In which case the turrets are going to be off anyways. But if the power then kicks on, it'd be nice to have those turrets ready and killing whatever they can, whatever's still alive anyways. So yeah, we'll copy all right here, and we'll have to extend that as we need it. So we can grab that. Right. Oh, I don't want those on the screen. And have that right there, like that. And then we'll just get a bit cleaner of a copy, less debris on it. So then that's going to be, have that like that. That way we have a bit better of a footprint. And we'll have to tidy this up after, but that's fine. So that way we can rotate that, push it along this way, because that's a 2 tile there. So we got to make sure that that's 1 in further. That can go there, 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 and of course we'll clean that up as well. So then we can remove that whole section. And then we're going to want along this back wall as well. And obviously we're going to have to redo how these shields work. Although, those shields we're probably going to still want here. And then we'll have to do big ones behind it. Hopefully we have the room for it. I guess we'll see. So then this can go right up to there. And that's 2 tiles off there. That's going to be missing one right on the corner. Okay. But what we're going to want to do then... if we grab there... I want that to be... that on this side. I don't have that. That's right there. That goes right there. So and that shield would be protecting the corner. Because we have that just going to right there. Yeah. And then this can be extended slightly further back. Because then this shield is going to be protecting up to that right on the corner. So then this then gets extended out to here. You can then cancel that. That's canceled. So then that's 2 tiles there, which makes sure that's fully protected. That's fully protected. We're going to want to redo that as black. That way it's right. We're going to want black across here for a wall. And then across there for a wall. Okay. And then we want paste. Get this in. And then that needs to be there. That way that will cover right up to the corner. And then this one needs to be 2 off of there. That will be off to that corner. And then we can remove that bit right there. We'll have to just paint this one in normally. So we're going to want an embrasure. We're going to want a wall, a wall, a wall. And then that's going to be a walkway right there. And then we don't need a shield in this corner. And that goes like that. That goes like that. We can run that right across there to there. We don't need a shield in that corner. We want a walkway right there. We're going to want the embrasure there. That actually doesn't need to be an embrasure. It could be a wall, but you know, we can change that. Because yeah, there's no point for that to be an embrasure. So then we have a walkway that's going across here. That's going to be a wall. And then obviously these embrasures are going to continue on. And then we can just copy. I guess we're going to want +1. So that's going to want to be there with a 7 gap in between. That needs to be, so that goes there and then there. Then obviously we still got to make room for our entrance into this area. So we'll go with that. And then what center on this is a good question. So we can grab... oh, I should have probably measured this out based on size. Oh, that works perfectly. So then we're going to want tile 15 and 16 to be our entrance in. And we'll just make sure that that does measure out. So that's 15 tiles off that. That is 15 tiles up to that. Oh, God. Am I off one? No, 15 right there. That's 15 to right there. Okay, so then that's symmetrical. That obviously needs doors. It's going to be multiple doors. We could actually just have a triple, but I guess that's not going to really work there. That goes there. We're going to want wall right here, right here. That's a wall there, right? Yes. Then we can have an extra door, an extra door. So then that's going to be a door there, there, and there. So then that's our entrance into here. Obviously, we're going to need more doors separating these. That way we don't have any chain reactions. And then we need the big shields. So the big shields we could have on their own hallway. That way we can make sure we can get into this. So we'll have a single walkway running all the way across around here. And that will make it so we can repair these bits of walls. And we'll have that also run So we should probably get turrets along that face as well. Yes, would probably not be a bad idea. So the best way to go about that, we can just copy from here. Oh, stutter. Copy from that corner all the way to that corner, and we just flip it, stick it on this side. That would be right there. And then those doors, obviously, we don't want these here. Or do we? No. No, because we wouldn't really have a reason to go through here to the access hallway. I don't think so anyways. You know what? Let's do that anyways. Although we are getting a little bit close for sapper issues over here, which makes me think that they could sap through here and then have a quick walkway in, which is a little terrifying. If we wanted, we can also grab this and shift it in slightly. Now that we kind of have a shape in mind, we could even turn it sideways if we want. That way it sits a little bit more snug in. Yeah, let's just get the design done and we can figure out if we want to move it. So we'll assume that we can go an access hallway all across here. So that's going to be going to here. That needs to go to here. We're going to want a wall all the way across. It's going to be a hallway all the way across. Hallway all the way across. Sorry, wall all the way across. So then that is going to be another door system right there. And I guess for now that's probably fine as just a single door. And then that's going to be a door. And again, we're going to reinforce that with as many doors as we feel is going to be necessary. So then that gives us just our ship is as it's a little overkill. Honestly, if anything happens here and we have to use these turrets, the turrets are going to destroy the ship. But it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so then from here, do we want to move this back and over, make it a little bit more snug? We're definitely going to want a couple layers of mountain in between this and us. So if we cut, what we can do first before we cut it is clean up this wall, because that's not necessary anymore. That was just for information purposes. So that can go away. Oh yeah, and we also need our big shield. So the big shield little cubby holes. If those are just off of there like that, that should be fine. The issue, we actually are going to want to probably move this further this way, which is definitely a problem. And actually, we can't have that shield sticking out. We could incorporate shields into the ship build? Is that crazy? Because then we only need the two in the center, and that would cover everything, and we wouldn't have big overflow issues. Because right now, if we put this here, I really wish I could see this overlay without the fog. I could turn on or turn off the fog layer, because dev mode does have an option, but then we'd see what's in here, and I don't really want to see what's in here. But that would make it so I could see these circles. Because the only thing stopping us from being able to see is the fog layer above everything. But even then, so if that goes to there. So that's right where this is. That would get a little bit of overlap. So we'd be able to make it a little bit smaller, but not much. And we don't really want it overflowing into that area. And if we have it here, it's definitely going to be overflowing outside. So I think we kind of have to do this incorporated into our ship, which isn't the biggest deal. And if we'd want two ships, then it's not really going to be in the way. Out of curiosity, if this is centered, does that cover everything? It wouldn't really cover the corners. Yeah, we'll assume two somewhere in the middle. We won't worry about it for right now because I'm not really sure. But I think that's pretty much our only option. But if we do that, then that does mean we should be okay to move this essentially anywhere, because the shields won't be overflowing enough to be an issue anywhere, I don't think. So then we can cut all of... there's a limit. Okay, we have to cut in 2 parts. We can cut that, shift it. How many layers would be a good idea? So obviously the black is the wall, so that would be 1, 2, 3 layers of mountain plus 2 walls. That should be more than enough for, like, for security purposes. Nothing's gonna go through that way anyways. There's no explosions that are gonna happen that are gonna go through 5 layers or anything. I'm just thinking, you know, design-wise, that would be nice. Maybe we just do 4? Although that is 5 there. Yeah, you know what? We'll do that. Now, do we want to sneak it a little bit more up? Or do we want to go... oh, we can't go further. We could go further down and have some rooms in here for storage, but yeah, that's not going to be an option. So we'll have a 3 gap of mountain in between. 1, 2, 3. Plus our 2 walls. And we'll have that right there. So then that gives us a lot of room in here. Any shield overflow should be absorbed by the mountain. Same with these shields, they'll be absorbed by the mountain. And hopefully that'll be all right. So then we can cut this half. Slide that back into place. And that should be fine. Okay, okay. So then from here, we just want that to be a wall. And we'll have that continue on this way. That way we could have some storage over here. But I'd like to work on the other side now. That way we can figure out where we want our landing ships in. Now the landing ships are a little bit tricky because what we have to keep in mind is if we have an opening, we have to shield it. That way we don't have to worry about dropping raiders. But the issue with the shields is even if they're off, they will destroy the ships coming in. Now, the way to fix this is you just need to turn your shield down to the minimum range, which would then make it so you can land in. But we got to make sure that any landing spots don't interfere with the minimum range of shields. And I got to remember to turn the shields down, like minimize the shield before we land anything, or they will be destroyed. So it'd be nice to have a freighter spot, because that, you know, I don't really want to land a freighter outside to unload and then bring it through the mountain. Hell, it might even be worth doing just all the storage off of here and have our landing zone there. And then over here we could have our power and stuff. Maybe we do that. Just have all the storage on one side. As much as I said I didn't want that, it kind of makes sense to have it all off one side near our landing spot. And then we can do our power and cooling systems over on this side with the ship. I think that's going to be a smart thing. And then we'll probably want an access hallway for conduits and stuff that, you know, make sure that if this all goes to shit, we don't split into 2 systems, because that would definitely be not good. So we can have a redundancy running through. How much room are we going to have? Oh, we got more than enough. Yeah, we got a few tiles here to work with. Because obviously we can't build anything over here. But we'd be able to do a wall, walkway, wall. And then, you know, the walkway is just so we can get back and forth. And then we can hide all the pipes in the wall or on the floor or whatever. And then that's enough of a buffer there where it shouldn't be an issue. So that should be fine. And then, of course, we're going to run it through this as well. That way we have, you know, redundancy. So if we need the ship lane, so one thing that we can keep in mind with the ship is we go back to here, you can see that we do have some overflow where our ship does land. This is fine, because the part that we got to worry about is this square right here. Because technically we can put a wall around this, and that would still be able to land here, and it just overflow into the walls, because technically this is the ship. So it shouldn't really be that big of a deal if we had this, because that's pretty good. What's your minimum range is a 3. So if we did basically the same landing size that we have here, because this is basically as small as you get without any overflow of the ship texture itself. Because technically I could put a wall here, but you'd have just the edge of that wing clipping. I'm not a big fan of that. So we can go with that full-size landing spot. And then if we have a shield right here, then the minimum would go to here. And then the maximum would cover the entire pod, obviously on both sides. And in theory, that would give us a landing spot where our shields can be turned to minimum and they'd be out of the way enough. So what we're going to do, actually, is we're going to design it here. And then, well, before I do that, I should make sure I can copy between maps. So we could say this is going to be an opening. And then we're going to want a wall, a wall, a wall, a wall. And then we'll just copy that. And then if I right-click that, we can then come here and paste. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, we can do our design here since we have a landing pad with the size and everything. So then from here, we would want one shield in the middle. Of course, that's gonna block. One shield in the middle on both sides would be perfect. And that will cover everything at maximum. And then that's actually quite easy because what we can do then is say the shield is here. Shield is here. That's doors. Shields are green, right? Yeah. We want... Oh, God. Go back over here, please. We can have a shield there, a shield there, and then we have a door here. It's going to get rid of the light access, but that's fine because we could do lights along other spots. I'm not too worried about the lighting situation. And then we can just have that like that. So then we have our door just go right into the shield. And then that way we don't have to worry about any extra access points, which we probably still are going to want, but we don't need them. So that can help make it a little bit more compact if it's necessary. And then obviously a door to the outside, depending on how we orient this. Now, we also got to make sure it's a vertical landing pad like this, because when ships land, you don't have an option of what direction they face. If you move them, you do. Like if we wanted to reinstall that, we could do whatever. But when you're landing, it has to be that way. So that's going to be the orientation we're working with. And another question is, do we need more than one landing spot, or should we be okay? What we can do is copy and see what we're looking at space-wise. Because obviously we're kind of limited in space on how wide we can make these. So we can paste that. Oh, geez. Oh, when we were over here, I'm like, it's quite large. You go here, it's like, oh, we could do like 3 of them. No problem. So... maybe we do 2. That way, if we have a ship here that's getting loaded or unloaded, we have an extra spot for, you know, a reinforcement one if it happens. We don't have to worry about trying to get that ship out of there so we have room to land it. And 2 should be enough because we shouldn't really need more than 1 ship at a time dropping stuff off or leaving. Mostly nothing's really going to be leaving here other than for when we start a new branch. So we don't have to worry too much about how long it's going to take to load things up. And we don't need to worry about the small landing spots for smaller ships because they could just land in here, because if they land here, they're going to not be sticking around. It's not like we're going to have a shipyard within the mountain here. So if we do that like in the middle here, then we have some storage space that we could do on the side, and then we can have like a main hallway. Obviously, we're going to want to break it up in some way. That way we have turret defenses and all that. And then off of that, we can branch room after room after room. smaller rooms. That way, if we have a fire or something, everything's reasonably contained, or if we get a breach, it's contained. And then it can just basically branch off in each direction. And that would give us as many rooms as we want. And then this should be fine. I think that should be fine. So we'll start. Is there any reason not to do it here? We won't have any shields over here that are in the way. Is there any alignment stuff that we would want to keep in mind? I don't think we need to align it with anything. The only thing we got to worry about is where this face of the mountain is. Huh. That could be a problem. I didn't notice that there was a building here. Now, that might just be something small, but that could also be like a giant gaping hole. Well, we're gonna risk it and find out. We can change plans if we have to. Oh, that's a little bit terrifying. On the plus side, worst case scenario, it would kind of be probably something like that. So that would interfere with our storage vaults, but not the ship stuff here. So we could just cut off a couple layers if we need to. And do them over here or something. But I didn't see that. It's fine. So yeah, we'll paste this. And we'll have ourselves a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's leave 7 for no particular reason. And then we'll leave some buffer between this. We could actually do a small landing pad in the center here if we wanted for small ships. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? So if we wanted to do that, well, that's quite easy. So this shield will cover more than that, and then it'll cover some here. So what we'll do, I kind of wish I had a circle so I can see how much it would cover. You know what? What we're gonna do is we're just gonna leave space, and if we decide later if we want some extra small landing pod spots, we can do that because we'll have the space for it. But for now, we won't worry about it. We'll just make sure that these have some extra space. So then that can go right here. Now that might still want to get moved because we're gonna want to measure this out. That way we have a even number of tiles between them, not an odd number, because an odd number would be a pain. So, well, we can check that. It's an even number. Perfect. So then this is going to be a main hallway. We can have that branch a little bit further up. That will go to the center here. Now, these obviously are evens, or odds. So we can have a 3-wide walkway just for that little bit right there. There's a 1-wide. I don't really want that because obviously it's our ship loading and unloading door. So a single hallway is a little bit silly, whereas at least a bigger one's better. And then that aligned that way, no problem. We're going to want this wall and across here. So then, yeah, that will give us enough room. Because that shield will go to like here. That one will go to like here. So we can use like spots right in here for a couple smaller landing pads. And obviously we'll have to figure out, you know, the minimum and maximum ranges, but that gives us room where we could do it if we want. Perfect. So in this is just gonna be a wall coming across this way. That we can just have that come down this way. We'll throw that in right there, and that'll be a dead end, I guess, because we won't really have a reason to bring it any further. And then we'll want center, which, so if that's 28 tiles, then we're gonna want 14. We'll pop that right there and there, and then make sure that that does measure out the same. 14 from there to there, 14 from there to there. So then this is going to be a hallway that's going to be going off that way. Obviously, that's going to want some defenses somewhere. And like, we have all these corners we can do defenses. We can make this so it's squiggled. Probably not because of shield. But there's lots of options we could do to expand a bit of defenses into this. The main structure is the important part, because we can always just add whatever as we go. But we're going to want doors. Color I'm using, yes. So we'll have a triple door. Triple door like that. And there will be a gap between them as an airlock. And then obviously we have access to the shield from inside, so we don't necessarily need access points. That should be fine. So that should be okay. So then from here, we can say, I'd like some sort of consistency. Let's design out a vault room. And then that way we can copy paste them as we go. Now this isn't quite centered, so this side has quite a bit more room to work with. Which is... that's something that's going to bother me. Because another option that we have is we can cut that, push it a little bit forward, and then have this hallway come up this way, and then go through a more centered center. That way we don't have to worry about this being too close to this wall, or this boundary that we're stuck building at. And then from there, if that has a hallway down the center, then that gives us a little bit more workability for any little landing pods that we do. Let's do that. And I'm sure that didn't quite make the most sense because my brain's kind of like thinking out loud, but not explaining it as well as it could be. So let's get rid of this here. And then we'll get rid of this. And actually, I'm going to like this better, because then we have more symmetry. Whoops, I wanted plan. So then from there, we can cut our lungs. Oh, that's not going to work. Get rid of this whole section, because that's obviously not important yet. So we can cut these, which are kind of like the lungs. They are kind of lung shaped, and now it's going to be even more so. We could take that whole thing and move it so the hallway going down will be more centered. We'll move it up a little bit so we have a bit more redundancy in terms of right about there is probably all right. We don't need it perfectly centered, just centered enough. And I right click. I did the wrong one. Paste. I'll be right about there's. If not, we can move that. So then we have enough buffer in between here to have a hallway run the center without a problem. So then this now goes here and then up. So then that gives us more corners that we could do snipers facing down. This can have turrets facing that way. Then we'll have obviously this going to be going right through here. So then we can put some more defenses here facing that way, some facing that way. It's a lot less straight hallways where they're just gonna be able to take a quick run right through. And obviously along here, not right here because that's gonna be an access hallway, but we can do just random spots of shredder turrets in the wall. So as they walk by, if they walk by, they'll just get obliterated, hopefully. Again, a lot of hoping going on here. So that should be fine. And then from here, we can branch off of this for the small ones. And that should be fine. I think that's going to be a better option. Okay. God, I love this mod. If this mod didn't exist, then I would have just done it live. And we would have just winged it, and it would have been absolute nightmares of trying to build this. But at least if we can get an entire fortress designed, we should be able to consider any issues before they come up. So then this is going to come off this way. What we could do is split this into two hallways. Let's say one more there. Split this into two hallways and then have basically just turrets in one giant middle piece. That way we have turrets that face both ways. I think that would be a good idea. Because what I initially was thinking is something like this, but, you know, it'd be like that and then the hallway continues. But we could just do the whole way down. And, you know, it's not like overkill's a problem at this point. But would it look nicer like this? Because what we can do is have this with a branch off, and then a full lockdown hallway, and then another. Yeah, we'll do that. I think that'll just look better. It'll be a slightly less defensive, but I think at this point, we should be fine regardless. So then that would be a wall across here, across here. We got more than enough buffer here for any weirdness. This might need to be resized. So we're looking at a 13, which is good for not mounting roof collapses. And actually, that's going to be perfect. Perfect. And that's going to be going in that way and that way. And then we'll design this out, and then we can copy paste it as far as we want. And obviously, be careful as we dig through. I got to remember next episode, open that up and see what we're working with. Okay. And then these rooms, we don't want these to be particularly large, because then if there's any failure at any point, then, you know, that's going to be a problem. Not sure what we're going to do about, I guess, sappers. If we have any risk of sappers coming through, we're going to have our warheads dropping fiery hell upon them anyways. So we don't really need to consider too much about the sapper issue. I hope. It's a lot of hopes. So then that's going to be an entrance there. So we'll do one side, copy it to the other, and then I guess we can't copy the whole thing. It's not going to be enough room. But we can have a door, and then a bit of an opening, a door, a bit of an opening, and then another door. And then from there, we'll have an embrasure. Embrasure is the purple. Yes. So then we'll have an embrasure for one right here. I guess that would be fine as one giant block. We are going to need door access into here, though. Maybe we do 2 blocks. We have a door here, a solid wall, which I guess that would be doors like that. And then just 4 shredders right here. And we won't have shields on those. I'm a big fan of not having shields on them. And obviously, we'd want door, 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 door. All of them are going to be auto doors. We'll have like all the corner pieces. Although, we won't want those because we'll want line of sights. We'll have to figure out where we want to. We could do doors like halfway or something. But we definitely want any line of sight we can get. And then we're going to want a turret bunkers at the end. Again, that's stuff we could worry about all these hallway doors later. Yeah. So if we had the embrasures across here, the doors in here, then we do 4 shredders there, 4 shredders here. Is that going to be any issues? It would be nice to have a shield, but the problem is if we did a shield, then we're going to want an odd number. Because the shield would obviously need to go into the middle. If we want an odd number, we'd have to have a 3 wide or a 1 wide, 3 wide hallway. 1 wide is not an option unless it's an access point like over here. So do we want to have this hallway? Obviously that would mean this has to get shifted. Well, one of these has to get shifted over 1 tile to make the extra space. That would get us a little bit of shield. And there's not really a downside to a 3 wide hallway other than I like the visuals of a 2. And then it would lead to inconsistency as well, because I wouldn't be doing all of these hallways as 3. It would just be essentially from this point on, which I also don't really care much for. And we wouldn't want these to change to a 3, because then this would have to get changed. That would have to get either pulled out 1 or pulled in 1. That way that is nice and centered again. And same deal with over here. I guess that wouldn't be as big of a deal since that's kind of a self-contained unit up to that point. And if that was a 3, then we'd have to go this way, not this way, because we need this space in here. Let's have it as a 2. We'll just not have shields over here on these. So in these doors, is that going to be a problem? Nah. So it's embrasures, then doors, and then 4 shredders. And then that's just going to be an open. And then we're going to want embrasure this. That way we'll have a bit of a turret bunker right in here. And these we could do a shield in. That would, oh yeah, I forgot about the sandbags situation along here. Well, I guess I don't need to paint that in. Yes, I do. Sandbags. And then that would make sense just to bring it right to the end there. These won't get sandbags though, because there ain't no room for that. And then, do we want sandbags in here? I'm not too worried about that. This is where, if we get attacked, this is where we are going to basically be fighting. So I think we should be okay with just the sandbags in there and not worry about them here. Especially in here, you know, there's even more turrets than that. Maybe we over-defended our ship spot a little bit. It's fine, it's fine. So then if this is going to have a shield in the middle, we can have green, yes. So we could have a small shield there, a small shield there. See, I don't really think that matters. Well, no, we wouldn't want that because it'll stick out one. So yeah, we won't worry about a shield. What we'll do is have a split here. That way, if one explodes, it doesn't. Chain. And then we'll have 2 shredders there, 2 shredders there. And then we'll have a access hallway from the inside to cover those turrets. So then we are going to want going to here. And then how big do we want this vault? So what we could do is align it with that, because that was 13 tiles, which is the max before it collapses. It's 14. Although we probably still, for safety reasons, would want a center wall. That way, if anything happens, we have as much coverage as possible. We don't want to risk any roof collapses. So we'll go our wall along here, and then once you get in here, but we don't want a wall like that, because then that would stop these from functioning. So then, maybe just a wall right down the center. That could be a 12. We only need a single wall, because it's not going to be like holding anything back. It's mostly just a backup support system. So then that's going to be a walkway across here, and then we can have the walkway around the outside and then the storage on the inside. Or do we want it so we do something like, being a single tile is kind of a pain. I kind of wish that was a double, but that's not going to work because measurement reasons. We could have it so you walk, that would be 5 tiles of wasted space for a walkway down the center. Although it's going to be the same no matter what. We could just not have a walkway. We could have a one walkway. How do we want to do this? That is a good question, Ryan. We could also just make it so we pack it in so it'd be like 1, 2 for this. Let's assume all the storage is 1 by 2 for the most part. We can do a 1, 2, walkway, 1, 2. So it's a walkway down the center, and then whatever storage we can pack in. Now, I have had the rule where we have to be able to access it from all the sides. That's something we really got to worry about for this. Or do we just want to pack it in? I don't have any examples, but we could pack it in so, like, if this was a wall here. Why the fuck did it do that? If this was a wall here, then that's kind of what we'd be going with. Assuming, like, okay, use a mental image. We say, that's a wall, that's a wall. So that's kind of how we'd be looking at for inside there. We'd have 2, 1, 2, but there would be technically no walkway to the edge here. But you can utilize that by the front piece there. So I guess that it breaks my rules, but it's long-term storage. Does it really matter? I don't think it really matters. So let's go with that. Let's go with that. We'll assume that that's going to be an allowed thing. It's a little outside of my rules, but, you know, my rules are my rules, and I can do whatever the hell I want. So then that would be a walkway across the front here, and then down here. Across the front here, and then down here. And then storage, we can have as white. So and that would just be a packed in storage all the way across here, all the way across here. And then how deep do we want that to go? Okay, that's a lot of storage. We're gonna have, well, it's also, we're gonna have different items because we want, you know, one for textiles. We're gonna want one for silver. We want one for steel, one for probably the plasteel, gold, jade, because that's definitely not, and uranium. That's not gonna need one each. We're gonna want to get a extra weapons set, you know, just extra weapons for us. Doomsdays, the explosive death weapons that are all around. That would be nice to have inventory stored. An armor section would be nice to have armor stored for us. What else might be? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. We can, one of these rooms should be enough because we got, how many of these we currently have for silver? Now this isn't enough room for all the silver, but this is also a ridiculous amount of silver, and we won't be storing that. So right now we got 19 of them for silver here, and that's holding 60,000 each. So that's 1 point, assuming, let's say 20, that's 1.2 million silver stored. And in here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ridiculous. Yeah, this will be enough for multiple millions of silver. That's fine. Let's go with this. we don't need it that crazy. So we can have that just a 16, and then we'll just have that come to a dead end. And then by dead end, we can maybe do some turrets back here as well. Or do we think that should be safe? Because we got that and that. And if we run turrets back here, then we're probably going to want shield. You know what? This will be fine. Because the closer we dig to this, the worse off we'll be. Yeah, okay. So then from there, is that good? Is there anything else that could be an issue with that? Because we got 2 shredders in there that can shoot in and into this one tile. These can shoot into the hallway. These can shoot into the hallway and into there. These can shoot everywhere along here. That's definitely going to need a door there. So if they breach, then they'll have those 4 shooting, plus these shooting across the corner, plus the ones over here shooting across. That should be more than enough defenses. And that should be good. I'd say that's good for our vault. And by vault, I mean one of them. Because we could then take right to here. Should just be able to go rotate, rotate. Like that. And then that copy's fine. And then we can come down a little bit. A bit of space. So we're going to want, obviously, all these to be symmetrical. So we could have 1, 2, 3 gap. The way I hold my mouse is my hand is slightly tilted, and the amount of pressure I need to put on the right mouse button is almost nothing. So I tend to accidentally click it a lot, more so when I'm thinking, because I kind of just forget about how much my hands are moving. So we can have a 3 gap, and then we probably are going to want our access line back here, being able to run up between them for redundancy. Well, not really, because we could feed it in through the back here, which will then feed redundancy through the system. Yeah, we won't need to worry about that. So we could do a 3 gap between them, and that goes there. Goes there. That goes there. And then obviously rotate. Goes there. There. Did that stutter? And it stuttered. It didn't pick it in the wrong spot though. There. So, and that gives us 8 massive storage rooms. Well, probably 7. We'll... Don't know what's going on here. Why beauty? Yeah, that's fine. Let's remove this end one. Because even if this isn't too bad, we'd have to cut off one no matter what. And then I'd rather it just end here instead. So then that can go just as a... Whoops. Wrong one. That can go just right at the end there. So then that gives us 6 massive rooms. And then we have room over here. We can have this go further and have one set come off for like 3 layers. Nope, because that's where power and stuff goes. So is that really going to be enough storage? 6 different types. We could have like weapons and armor in one. And then I guess valuable gold, silver, uranium, plasteel in one, silver in one, steel in one, although the steel definitely doesn't need a full one. We got one for like statues and stuff. You know what? 6 should be fine. Should be being the key word. Okay, and then, oh boy, I feel like we are doing a lot for just not that much storage. But it's a lot of storage. It's not like we're hoarding, like, I'm used to thinking like we got this huge room just for clothing because of processing. But in all reality, it's not really, because it's not like we'll ever have massive amounts of clothing being over there. One room for armor, just excess. It should be fine. And one thing I did forget about, we're gonna want like psychoid leaves and stuff. You know what? It'll be fine. There's lots of room. That's lots. It'll be fine. I keep telling myself that, but it feels small. It's fine. So that's not even considering our power situation, our mortar situation. So we got to get that figured out still. That's fine because we got all over here for our infrastructure. So then we can grab planning. We'll get our access hallway along this whole back figured out. So that's just going to be a 1 tile. And we don't have much options on where it goes just because we got the edge of the map here to worry about. So then that can be like black. Gotta shift it. So then that can go right down. And that's going to be connecting to just a whole bunch of different spots. Obviously, it's going to have a million doors. It's not going to be defended. So we'll see if the raiders decide that that's a good spot to find a way through our base. But I doubt it. There'll be a million doors. For now, we'll just have that come right to the end. And we can figure out where it actually needs to connect in after. Okay. And that's going to be just coming down this way. That. Get this. So then that's going to run all the conduits and everything. Gotta get... Well... Yeah, so we don't have to worry about that for right now. Because it'll be connecting as much as possible, essentially, as redundancy. So, now... Oh boy, what we need to do is... We need power. And the issue is... I don't know how much... Now, we are also going to want to get ourselves some batteries and circuit breakers as well. And that's going to take a lot of space. So what we can do is copy a system like this and utilize that maybe. So, because I'm gonna have to do the math on how it balances out right now too. What's the ratio? Where's my phone? We need to figure out the exact ratio for that. Why the fuck? Fingerprint scanner doesn't scan fingerprint very well sometimes. Okay, so then it's 1800 watts. So if we have Best way to go about doing this. Come on, brain. Figure out the math side of this. It's the pressure of being on the spot trying to come up with the solution that we need. Because if we go like 1800 divided by the 2000, because these circuit breakers do 1800, these are 2000. So if we do that, and that's a 0.9, so then for every... There'll still be one off, because I was going to say for every 10 batteries, we'd then need 11.1 of the circuit breakers. And that 0.1 I don't like. If it was 11, that's fine. It's the 0.1. So that means we definitely have to have overflow. So if we do, and obviously as we scale up, we can get rid of the extra one every 10 sets, but we're not going to have 10 sets. So I guess what would, okay, so we got 6 extra. If we copied this exact system, we got 6 extras here. And not even that would line up, because we know that this is as close to optimal as we get with this many batteries, which this is a pretty good amount of batteries. You know, it's up to 120,000 watt days. And I think that should be enough to handle whatever comes up. So this much battery and circuit breakers should be fine. It's finding the system. What we could do is have like one mega long strip. No, because then that, I hate when it does that. Because then that would end up giving us basically a massive risk. Because we'd want it split like this. That way we could connect to the front and have smaller banks of them. Because even this, it'd be best to split half of that on the other side of the hallway for redundancy. So if we did maybe even if we did like we did 10 and then we have 5 long for batteries, 6 long for circuit breakers in the same space. That way we have less of our batteries per room, because it'd be nice to have kind of the combo. It'd be worse for trying to flip everything back on in terms of the circuit breakers, but it'd be good. But if we scale down our thinking and do it per room, I'm not too worried about the excess circuit breaker capacity. If we had 10, that'd be 20,000 watts. Oh god, I fucked that up. I got delete, thank you. So that'd be 20,000 watts. And that would be divided by the 1800, which gives us the 11.1. So we could just round it right to 12. Just say, fuck that 0.1. We'll give it an extra 0.8, whatever. So then that would give us a 10. So 5 long, then 6 long circuit breaker per bank. And then not worry about the extra capacity. I think that's going to be the best way to go without having to overcomplicate things. So then that means we can grab our planning. We'll just do this. Obviously, after I'll go by and clean up all the mess we're making here. But we can say that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that goes to there. That runs across there. That would be our room. We get ourselves the door at the front. And then we can say, oh geez, what do we use for our colors? Are we using piss yellow for anything? Yes, that's our sandbags. Sandbags, batteries, obvious which one would be which. So we could have our batteries on the front side, and I don't think we're using green for anything, so green can be circuit breakers. That'd be our 6. And then obviously our hallway. So that would be our battery room, and then we'll do, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. And that will give us similar capacity overall to this setup. And then we got to figure out the power situation too. So that should be good. We can copy that. So come over here. And then we got to figure out the hallway. So where do we want those? We can do one coming up like here and then both sides. And where do we want it relative to our battery system? Sorry, our power generation system. We can do batteries then power. Or we want power then batteries. Oh boy. Let's do batteries then. Let's do power then batteries. But no, we have to do batteries and power because I don't know how much room we need for the power. So we'd have to basically just cancel what I was just thinking of, go do the power, and then come back and get this. So it will do batteries and power just because this is the order I'm doing them in. So then that's going to be paste for this. And then we need 4 long, 2 wide. And obviously we're going to want a buffer between everything. So we could say a 3... away from everything, and then we'll have a 1 gap of mountain between the battery rooms. So if these go, that'll give us 3 tiles of stuff in between each bank. That's going to be a little close to here. And then this is going to be a hallway. We can have a layer of mountain between it like that. That coming down. That would just the dead end with some turrets on it. Not a big fan of us getting close. This mountain, I really wish we had this map tile. We got so much mountain to work with. Not a huge deal. It's just, that would have been the perfect tile for that. But it's fine. It's fine. This is a pretty good tile. I think that if we had any other tile of the other options that I had, we wouldn't be able to do it. The biggest thing was the ship spot. I don't think any of the other map tiles would have had enough room for that. Because we're having a hard time with room here. So, then this is going to be our blue within here. And then we need our door. We'll have a double door in case there's any breach. All these double doors are probably going to be stone for rooms that don't get accessed regularly. Auto door still. Actually, the plasteel door, it's not about opening speed. Well, I guess the plasteel ones are 100% if I remember correctly. But auto door, I don't remember what auto doors for stone. I don't know what their speed is. I think it's still slower. It doesn't really matter, honestly. They'll just do whatever. The biggest thing is I know we don't have anywhere near enough plasteel for doing everything as plasteel that should be plasteel. So that's kind of an issue. Oh, we could do this the easy way. Can we? Oh, is it going to let us get that much? Copy. You just go to right there. Copy that. Oh, I guess that's going to be a little fucky. That's fine. That's fine. Copy that. Rotate, rotate. And that needs to be right there. Okay, so that's our battery banks. And then that doesn't give us a whole lot of room for power, but it should be enough. And then mortars. And I also need a room for like a small housing area for Ryan. Because we are going to have 1 permanent residence here, and it's going to be me. We got to figure out... we got to get the cooling system figured out too. Like, we do have room. Maybe we'd do cooling right at the end here. Obviously, that's going to be highly dependent on what the hell this is. We could do a cooling system off here, but then that's sapper bait 3 different directions. But I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of options. It probably also would be smart to pull this in a few tiles, a little bit closer to here, just to get it further away from here. That's easy with copy paste. I'm really glad that there's a copy paste. If there wasn't a copy paste, this would have been so much more difficult. But so power. Question: how much do we need? We are going to be using power cells. We got to get a lot of power cells still. We are buying them when they come up, but it's still going to be a slow process. What we could do is switch all of this out for chem fuel, which is a waste because we just built these and never really used them. But the chem fuel ones are significantly better in terms of efficiency, even if we include the cost of destroying these and rebuilding as chem fuel generators. The difference is like 2.5 times or something more efficient. And if we pull all of these out of here for the sake of them going to the vault, then these will probably be running enough where that chem fuel will be, it will be enough to make up the cost. And then we can run our base off of these for a while. It'd be like we're going back in time in terms of progress. Like we do have some other power options. And I know it's going to come up. We're not getting Atomic Rim yet. I do have plans for it in the series. We're not getting it yet. I don't want it. Even if we got it now, it would be like 50 episodes before we have a fully functioning reactor system, because you would have to go through the entire tech tree for it, and then you have to wait for all of your plutonium to be developed. I guess that's for the bombs, so the uranium part. But either way, we're using what we have available right now. We're not waiting. We're not doing anything. We do have some of these advanced turbines and solar and all that. That's not going to help us. So in terms of power, like the M13 stuff, none of this is going to be useful inside the mountain, obviously. So power-wise, where the fuck's power? Am I blind? Right there. In terms of power, we don't have a whole lot of options in the grand scheme of things, just because the power cells have been reliable. And even then, I didn't really grab much for power mods, because I actually expect to be using a lot of the M13 stuff. But these power cells are fantastic, and we've been able to keep up with them fairly well. So we'll pull them all out of here. So these are 5,000 watt each. We could do a bank like this, basically the same size as this. That would give us 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 24 total, which would be 120,000 watts of continuous power 24/7. And 120,000 watts should be enough to definitely power everything, and it'll quick charge the batteries when we need them to have that extra power. So if we want to do that, we'll do the same design that we did for the batteries, where we have it a group of 6, and then a group of 6 beside it, and then across the hall 2 more groups of 6. Now this is where we have to cause a bit of a problem. We got to vent this heat, and that's gonna have to be vented into the open, which would be the closest opening. Obviously, would be our ship space. We could have our access hallway as a venting location, but that wouldn't be by access hallway. I mean this big one along the back. Oh, I fucked that up. You know what? That actually might not be a bad idea anyways. Yeah, because that was supposed to technically come off that hallway. But that wouldn't be really the worst thing, to have our service hallway go to the batteries and power on their own. And then just don't worry about the main hallway connecting. But I kind of like the idea of the main hallway, but that would push us all the way up to like here. And we gotta vent out. Because what I was thinking is, we have our power right here. We don't have enough room for this. Not even close. Shit. That's not even close. We could do a set here and a set here, but again, we don't know what's going on here. And we'd have to somehow vent that. And I don't want to punch any extra holes in the roof that we don't absolutely need. Shit. What do we do? Let's lay this out and see what we're working with in terms of scale, because like I said, when we did the ship thing, it looks a lot bigger just because the context around it makes it big relative to that. So we can say that. We have door. We are going to keep this similar design for redundancy purposes in case shit hits the fan. We can have power as yellow. And then for venting, we'll just embrasure between these and have them all vent into the separate hallway for it to vent outside. Because obviously this is going to get ridiculously hot. So then that's good like that. We're going to want blue coming in through there. And I guess that doesn't really need that. So then that would be what we're looking at. We can copy that. Oh. Copy just that bit. Okay. And then we can so we would need just 4 of these to have that power that we were talking about. Just 4 isn't too bad. But we also need to make sure we have the ability to vent through. Because we could do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then still have a pretty good amount of buffer over here. Okay, so real question. Are we going to keep our power and batteries on the service line and not on the main hallway through the base? Now, one big issue that I didn't think about until just now is, well, oh, this just got more complicated. So these output ridiculous amounts of heat, but our entire base is going to be iceboxed. And if this is putting out heat and we're iceboxing, we can't icebox and vent the heat out at the same time. And if we don't cool it, then we have a bug risk. Unless we get rid of the overhead mountain, put in a normal roof, and then shield over the power. That's basically the only way we'd be able to get away with that. And if we... But then the problem with having ourselves an opening where we could have raiders drop in is if our power goes down for whatever reason, like a solar flare, we lose the shield, then they can drop in. But in the same thought, if we lose power, we're going to lose our cooling ability, which I want to keep the base cold enough where we'll be able to, you know, basically have it so if the power's out for a day or two or whatever, the base is cold enough where even if it starts warming up, we shouldn't hit the point where bugs can spawn, because we're going to keep it at like -100 or something stupid like that, because no one's going to be walking around here 99% of the time. If we do have people coming in, then, well, you know what, we're going to have the drop-in raider issue with these too, so we need turret defenses around this. I didn't really think about that either. Oh my god, there's so many things! But let's think about the power. So if the power goes out and we do the cooling thing, that's not going to make a difference anyways, because these would put out enough heat where even if we got it to absolute 0, they'll probably get back up to like 100 degrees in almost no time anyways. So our power system is essentially a permanent risk. And considering we're going to have the drop-in raider risk here and here, I think I'd rather risk drop-in raiders over our power over a bug risk in our power. Because in theory, this would be the only spot that bugs could spawn. So if they're gonna spawn, they will spawn there. Whereas if we have the drop-in raider risk, there's more options. So at least it would be less likely to be that. Oh, fuck, brain. What do we do about this? Oh boy. I think we blow out the roof in the hallway between these and use that as our vent and put a shield over it. I think that's going to be the smartest option we can get. So then and that does mean that we wouldn't need to vent out to here because the hallway itself would be a vent. Because if we put now, and this is where I have my rules, but how much do I care about my rules? Expanded roofing does have a thick mountain roof. Now, again, I don't know about this. If I remember correctly, the expanded roofing at one version or another, it may be mine, it may be not. I may be remembering something different entirely. The thick mountain roof, the thick roof, which is supposed to make it so you can't get drop-in raiders, and it's not a mountain roof, so you won't get bugs. If I remember correctly, there's a bug in one of the versions at one point where the thick roof from expanded roofing does still cause bug spawns because it's bugged. Is that my version? Am I thinking of something else entirely? I don't know. So, my God, we're 2 hours into this. I expected this. But I need a drink. Shit. Okay, so we're gonna do the opening. Not good. I've always kind of had a personal rule, and I know that there are Ryan reasons. My rules aren't exactly consistent. I have no problem getting rid of mountain roof using expanded roofing. I'm not a fan of using shields to avoid drop-in raiders, but at least that's kind of like a risk. Because the shield could go down or whatever, and then, there's still a chance. I don't like the idea of, for example, using the thick roof to make basically all of our base, except for what's actually outside, invulnerable to drop-in raiders. I don't like bugs, because bugs are stupid in my opinion. And bugs are stupid because there's not really a reasonable way to defend against them. They come in such ridiculous numbers, and they're very difficult to deal with in the best of circumstances, unless you want to cheese them in some way. That I don't personally have a problem removing them as a risk. But drop-in raiders, I feel, is a good risk. I like the drop-in raider events, so I avoid removing that risk. And again, they're Ryan reasons. But I don't want to just flat out remove the risk of drop-in raiders from this permanently. But again, Ryan reasons don't have to make sense. So let's go with an exposed roof, and we'll have a shield over it. I think is the best way to fit all of Ryan reason needs. So then what we'll do is we're running a little bit low on space here. So we need 4 of these. We definitely won't be able to get like 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna have to go 4 long, which is horribly risky, but we are lacking room now. So we're just gonna have to do what we gotta do. And we could do 2 here. We're gonna need turrets around in here still, so that's not gonna work there. We're gonna do our cooling system in this back corner, I guess, because we don't have a whole lot of room for it. And we do need a very heavy duty cooling system for this much mountain. So we'll have a 2 gap around these, plus obviously the wall, so that's really 4 away from everything. So we'll do that, 2, 3, and that goes out a little bit further than I'd like, but let's bring these in slightly. We can remove that. We'll still keep a good buffer here, but we'll bring these with only 1 mountain gap between them. That's still 3 layers of walls, but that gives us an extra couple tiles along here, which is still sapper bait, but, we got the anti-grain warheads and stuff, so we can drop like 1 here. If it misses, we should be fine. That should obliterate through here. And if we need to, we got reinforcements. And the worst part is, in all honesty, we probably will never get raided here, simply because this map tile is not going to be open other than when we're using it. So the risk of getting attacked is almost nothing, because 90% of the time, this map tile is going to be unloaded. Because there's no reason to have this map running, eating up CPU power while we're running all the branch series. And even Raider Empire, it's going to be like the outposts and the mercenary base that we have going, you know, they're on when we need them. And in this case, we don't need this very often. So in all reality, we're doing all of this for almost nothing, but it's the point. It's the point. So we'll go with this. This is fine. We'll have a walkway along here. So that could be there. We're going to want to open this. We'll do the 2. We got a bit of space over here that's not going to be used for anything else. So we can remove that. Oh, shift. Oh. Oh, that only removes the color. That's why it's been feeling fucky. Yeah, that's fine. Also, speaking of that, that needs to go in here. And I wish I noticed that earlier. That can go there, that can go there, that can go there. I could really just highlight the whole thing because they only overlap if you shift it. So then we want a 2 tile here. That can go down to here. Although that's the service hallway, so that only needs to be a 1 walkway, which is nice. So then that'll come to a dead end that's here. We can remove that. That is going to be blue. And then we're going to want that going blue to there, blue to there, blue to there, blue to there. We're going to want another set of doors right here, as many doors as possible. And then the venting spot. We could make it so this spot right here is where it vents. We could say, now, this is where I get confused on exactly how the game mechanic works. But I know that if you have a very small room that has no roof on it, it counts as indoor but unroofed. And I know that heat sometimes is fucky because it's kind of infuriating how often when a room is on fire, people are like, remove a tile of roof and it vents it. No, it doesn't. A single tile of roof is not going to vent it. You have to remove quite a bit of roof for it to vent out. Removing a wall will make it outdoors, but removing a roof tile or 2 does not make it outdoors and doesn't instantly vent heat. Now, I don't know if it's a percentage-based thing, whereas if you have like 1 tile that's unroofed, is that perfect ventilation? And if we have like these 4 without a roof, is that perfect ventilation? I don't know. I don't know. But what we can do is say, do that for now, and we can do a shield spot right here. Let's grab a door here, and a door here. And then this is where we stick a little shield that will cover that. And then we'll do one right here too. That'll cover that. And then that would make it so if this does work, and I'm pretty sure if you have it 100% unroofed, no matter the size, it will vent perfectly. I'm pretty sure that's how the mechanic works. But if not, then we can redesign this bit of hallway here so we can vent a larger space somewhere over here. And then obviously we're going to need embrasures venting through here. So that's... Okay. We got a lot of things going on here. Green for shield. That's going to be a shield there. Let's finish this up before we get ahead. That way my brain can process things properly. And then from there, we're going to want an embrasure. Now this is all... We don't need it to have symmetry, but for Brian reasons, symmetry. So we could say embrasure, embrasure, embrasure. And then we can go like that. Like that. And that would be an indoor hallway. So, but then that wouldn't have access. We don't really need access there. So then that would be all of this venting down this way into here. and then vent again into here, and then that's where our opening is. Technically, we could probably use that, which would be equally as effective. Probably. Assuming the mechanics work as I'm thinking they are. And that would leave that back as indoor. So then, yeah, we could just leave that, and we only need the one of these, but symmetry is kind of important because I like symmetry. So then that would be open to the outside. Now we're gonna want that, we can say white for these. So then we'd want that in all of these. And again, it's not really necessary to have the two, but Ryan reasons. Now, that also would be maybe an issue. Yeah, you know what? We only have the one here, one here, one here, one here. That way the shield only has to cover that. Because I don't think it would reach all the way out to this one. So, then that can go. We can... Okay. Let's undo a few things. I'm getting visually clusterfucked. So we don't need that one. We don't need that one. We don't need that one. And we don't need... That's fine there, because that covers these, and that's going to be fixed. This... Oh, that was one that we needed. So we don't need that. Bring that back to where it was. So then that goes there. So then that's the vent for this. That's the color we're using, right? When that vents there, that vents there, vent, vent, and for symmetry, we'll do it on the middle part. That way all these are the same. Want black. I can go there, and plus it'll be a solid wall holding the door at least. So then that all vents into here. And you know what? We really don't even need that either. We'll keep it even more simple. So then that just goes right to the edge here. And then that obviously is going to have to be a wall. That has to be a wall. Then we have just the same thing right here. So that's a wall. That's a wall. We grab our embrasures. I'm using purple over... Okay, we got pink over here for embrasures. No, we don't, because I'll get confused. I'll be like, what are these? Although, it should be pretty obvious they're embrasures. Hopefully. I'm hoping I don't forget anything important of these. Okay, so then that all vents to a one-tile outside chimney. One-tile outside chimney. And honestly, worst case scenario, we get drop-in raiders here, and we get one per hole. Because what are they going to do? Put 100 people in one drop pod and drop it there? That's not how the mechanic works. So really, this is almost no risk. With that said, we should still probably have a door. That way we can get in there if, for whatever reason, there's a need to get into there. So yeah, there is no real drop-in risk. Either way, yeah. So we'll just do a door there, door there. And that's how that works, and we can just have like a door access there. And then obviously this is going to need a couple layers of door accesses. We can tidy this up. That doesn't need to go right to the end. And then obviously fire foam popper is going to go everywhere. That's something we'll throw in as we go. If I remember, I'm terrible at remembering. So then that's our power room. That's 120,000 watts once it's full. And then we have our conduits running through here, which should be reasonably safe overall, feeding into a whole lot of different sections. This shouldn't get breached. If we get any breaches, it should be mostly along here, because we don't need, other than for one spot somewhere, we don't need actual access into here. We can just have it so it gets close and then transfers through the wall. But we don't need door access other than one spot to get in. Don't know where that's going to be, but we do still need a home for Ryan. So then we need cooling. Now the cooling system, I don't know how big it's going to be. While we dig and build all this, we are going to be keeping it cooled, and that's going to be done from outside. So we'll have a fairly good idea of how much we'll need by the time we're done. So maybe we don't even include that into our plans, and we just assume we'll do it somewhere at the end here. Because this should be, you know, there should be enough room in here, assuming that this isn't a giant gaping hole. There should be enough room in here for the cooling system. And that should be all right. And then we do need to turret up this. So we're gonna want Embrasures. Shields there. Now these aren't gonna have their own little shields blocking them because it's only the big shield. Although again, if anything ever lands in here, it's because we don't have power anyways. So oh man, I guess we should defend it, even if it's a mild defense. Or is that something we want to do now? I am over 2 hours in. I'm kind of tired. I have a hard time talking constantly while thinking for 2 hours. Maybe we hold off and we'll do the defenses on this as we go and figure out what we want. Because probably the best way is like do right here as a bunker, right here. Wow, that's probably bad. Don't really want to do the inside. We could have the inside as turrets and have it so it faces both this hallway and that, but that would obviously eat through our ability to do the small ships. But I'm not really worried about those anyways. Also, before I do anything, these feel small. They should be fine. Oh yeah, that's fine. So then, is that good for now? Is that as much as we're going to be able to get? Obviously, any hallway defenses, that's something we'll go and do as we go, because I'm not going to plan every one. It's the main structure of things that aren't going to be undoable later, rather. Because obviously, once we start the dig, anything that we screw up on is going to have to get filled in, and that's just going to look like ass, and I don't really want it to look like ass. I'd say that's probably a reasonable start. It's horrible. That's a reasonable start. So let's clean this spot up here for a sec, so we can remove this. So then what we got going on is we got a double door. So this whole section here is going to be able to withstand 2 anti-grain warheads directly, assuming it's not any major damage to it already. From there, we have a hallway in which we can come in and repair if there's damage. We are going to have doors separating multiple layers in here. That way, if there is a breach, the raiders don't see that as the quickest access point in. They should always see these as the easier way in. Even though there's turrets here, they'll still see that there's turrets over here as well, so that should be fine. And then worst case scenario, if we need more than 2 anti-grain warheads, then we have another layer here that can take a 3rd hit before we actually breach in completely. And then if raiders somehow do breach in the first place, then they have to come through, I don't know how many is here, but an absolute ton of shredder turrets. And the reason they should be shredders, there doesn't have to be shredders. We can use a mix of shredders and other ones. The reason I like shredders is they're good damage for the short range. But we do have a nice, beautiful 90-degree line of sight, so that would be able to shoot all the way up to here. How does the shredder hold up? Oh yeah, that's not a problem. The shredder has enough range where it's going to be able to shoot anywhere in its line of sight. Whereas, you know, if we could go and do some heavy turrets or whatever, but they're going to have the exact same line of sight, and resource cost wise, that's not exactly cheap. And I'm not too worried about the cost, but, you know, doing 40, 50, I don't know how many are there, but doing an absolute ton of these we're not going to be able to afford that in the first place, along with everything else, of course. Whereas shredders are significantly cheaper, and I don't know what their overall damage output is, but it should be better, or at least equal, just because that's what they're designed for, is that short range. They are multi-shot, they're reasonably accurate, they shoot reasonably quick, so that's going to be probably the best option in overall. So then that's going to be all along here, and anything coming down is going to go get fucked. And then we have a bank of 24 sniper turrets. Those we are definitely going to want to be plasteel or uranium. I don't know which one has more health. I'll have to check that out. But we'll do them out. I guess the uranium actually is going to be useful for turrets save plasteel for some other stuff. But what else? I guess doors is the plasteel. It doesn't really matter. That's detailed. We'll figure that out later. I'll have to take a look at the health and, you know, balance what we have versus what we need versus what we kind of can do. But a bank of 24 sniper turrets on their own, just if we had like people running in this way, we'll kill off ridiculous amounts before they could even make it to the end in the first place, ignoring all of these turrets and everything. So those sniper turrets are just going to absolutely fill this hallway with death. And then worst case scenario, they breach, which this obviously has a shield as well. These all have shields, so that's going to be able to take a huge beating as well. Nothing's going to get through that unless we don't have power. If we don't have power, then we're going to have bigger problems. And long term, the only things that would stop us from having power is a solar flare. And I don't have any mods that have a solar flare shield, but eventually we will be getting Atomic Rim, and that has a solar flare shield. Although I'm not sure if we would build a reactor somewhere in here. I don't think, well, I guess, no, I don't think we'd even have room for a reactor system in here. It doesn't matter anyway, because it's not like we'd change out our power if it's a functional power system. The biggest thing is we'd be able to get a solar flare shield, but I'm not going to get a different mod that has it, just to then later get Atomic Rim, which has one. And, you know, we got to have some sort of risk. It's nice to be at risk in some way. So, then that's good. You know what we could also do? We were looking for, obviously we don't have a spot for a small home for Ryan, because he's going to be the vault tender. We could just make him a tiny little house outside. Hell, even have it like a small little farm. Just Ryan by himself. Make a small little farm. Make it look like it's just a farm. And then we could like use that as a reason to like hide an entrance into the mountain. We can utilize a bit of this for some stuff if we want to. I don't know what we'd put in there, but we can have it so I did want this to be completely, you know, other than this front here from the ground. I didn't want it to be obvious that there's anything here, but we could just have like a small little house for Ryan outside instead of him being completely inside locked down forever. Because the issue with that is that we got to worry then about, you know, the whole everything's going to be an icebox. Maybe we just have Ryan live on this map and it looks like it's just him here. Now, that's obviously if we get raided, when we get raided, we're going to lose the entirety of that. But Ryan would be able to quickly run inside and hide. Hell, I could even make a little emergency landing pad in here so Ryan could just go run inside and launch out. And then the vault will deal with itself. Maybe we do that. We're going to do that, actually. Yes. This is not going to be 100% hidden. It's going to be a very small single-person farm with a vault and a ship and everything. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's what we're doing. And obviously, that's something that we'll have the final touches. We won't worry about planning for that now. We don't even have Orion, so I gotta get a pawn. We have some, but they're all kind of shit. I don't want to be any of them. But, you know, it doesn't really matter who. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to hire a mercenary Ryan. We could hire a mercenary Ryan. Just have him as a soldier. I don't know. We got time to think about that. But I think that's what we should do. Have just a small farm as our outside front. And then we have, obviously, our vault door, which doesn't look too out of place compared to, you know, that and just other crap that we have around that's going to be just debris. Hell, we could even fill up with some extra ruins if we want to make it look like we could add another wall here with a door and make it so it just looks like there's a lot more entrances and they're all dead ends. So when they get to this one, they won't think anything of it. But again, none of this has any actual gameplay effects. It's mostly just, you know, Ryan reasons. Do it because you can, not because you have to. But either way, that's where we're going to end it today. I'm very happy with this so far. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I kind of want to take a day break. That way I can get feedback. But even then, it would have to be a 2-day break for feedback, just because if this goes up, well, I guess I'll already have decided. But when this goes up, I normally recording... when this goes up, I'll be already recording the digging out process the same day. So what I would need to do is skip a day. That way I could have like 24 hours of time for feedback to come in. And then I'd have to record, and then it would come out the next day. So it would be a 2-day gap. I don't really want a 2-day gap when it might come up as just like everyone's like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good, no problems, because then it's just a wasted 2 days. So we'll just get to it, and whatever happens happens, and hopefully any major flaws that I'm not thinking of are fixable. And hopefully there's no fuckiness in the mountain, because that could cause us some big issues long term. Do we want to take a peek and, you know, deal with whatever's there? Because we're gonna have to, we'll see it anyway. No, we're not going to. We're not going to. We'll just. I don't want to peek now, because if there's a problem, then I'll insist on fixing it before we have to. So we'll see if anything comes up, and if it does, we'll deal with it when it goes. But either way, that's going to be it for now. I think that's pretty good. And if you somehow made it in 2 hours and 20 minutes into this, thanks for watching. Sorry about your day. And I hope you'll have a great day. See ya.